Yo, what up? Welcome to Mo Boxing No Problem. I am Jose Morales Jr., and today we got a special guest. We're joined by promoter Tom Loeffler. How's it going, Tom?
I'm good, Jose. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for making the time.
No, it's good to be on. Good to talk boxing. Again, we
Always,
have got a
always.
lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah, 360 Boxing has been killing in 2024, and it's already got 3 fights lined up for 2025. But before we even start talking about kind of current day, I want to take it all the way back. Tom, how did you get into boxing, and what kind of wanted you to make a career out of this sport?
Uh, I started, now it's over 30 years ago. My background was in finance and real estate. And I had a good friend from high school who was representing a lot of retired athletes, really high profile retired athletes, Sandy Koufax and Joe Namath and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all the big names. And his biggest client is Muhammad Ali, was Muhammad Ali, naturally. And I became partners with him to expand the business. And then he signed, or we signed two active fighters to manage them. He didn't really know much about managing fighters. He was a genius in sports memorabilia. So I took over on the boxing management side. The first champion that we had was Kevin Kelly. So starting in like 92, Kevin won a world title on HBO. And, we were off to the races there. I was up to 10 fighters at one point. I helped Shane Mosley get his world title. Nobody wanted to fight Shane. I got him on HBO, got him the title fight against Philip Holliday at the Mohegan Sun. And then the way I got into promoting is I was managing Ed Mahone out here he was fighting at the Forum in LA. And he fought Vitaly Klitschko. I got him the fight against Vitaly for the WBO heavyweight world championship. Vitaly had just knocked out Herbie Hyde. And that was his first title defense. So I brought Ed over there. Vitaly wound up knocking him out in the third round. But I was good friends with Vitaly's PR manager. And he told Vitaly that I do work with Muhammad Ali. And so Vitaly, about 4 months later, came over here to LA. We set up a meeting with Vitaly and Muhammad at the office. Vitaly subsequently had his first son was born here in Los Angeles, and ever since then, I've had a great relationship with the Klitschko brothers. I started once their promotional contract ran out with their existing German promoter. The first fight we did with K2 Promotions, I started K2 Promotions with them. First fight we did was in 2004 at Staples Center, heavyweight championship of the world at Staples Center, live on HBO. And ever since then, I promoted all the Klitschko fights. We signed Triple G in 2012. Got him his first fight over here on HBO, and then the rest is history, as they say. Jose, I can't hear you. Jose, it's let's see. Yeah, I think the volume's off. Sounds like you might be muted. There you go. Now I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry about that. The audio went out. So I did want to touch a little more on Triple G because you signed him, like I said, 2012. Before he was this international superstar, he got him the HBO deal. How was it, seeing his rise in his career and seeing what he became?
That was a wild ride. He was already training with Abel Sanchez up here in Big Bear. And he coincidentally had the same German promoter as the Klitschko brothers. So once he got out of his contract, we were able to get him. A lot of work went into. I had meetings with HBO, had meetings with Showtime, had meetings with Epix back then, who was involved in the boxing business. Nobody wanted to fight Triple G. He was a mandatory against Felix Sturm, and the WBA actually changed their rules and created a super champion for Felix Sturm in order for him to avoid the mandatory longer. than he did. But anyway, when it was a long story, we had the meetings in January. I kept pressing, and finally got him on HBO. He was supposed to fight Dmitry Pirog, who was the WBO champion. Triple G was the WBA regular champion. That was going to be a unification fight. Unfortunately, Pirog got injured his back. He was the one that knocked out Danny Jacobs in the second round. Big puncher. That would have been a tremendous fight. Yep. Between Triple G and Pirog, both undefeated. So Pirog gets injured. They put in Proxa, who was a completely opposite style. Artie Palulu was trying to do everything to get us to say no. But, my pitch to HBO was, he'll fight anybody, doesn't need a lot of money, just wants to be on TV, wants to show how good he is, wants to prove that he's the best. And a lot of the people over here in America, they didn't even know where Kazakhstan was. When I had meetings with HBO and, all the other TV executives, like they're wondering, what do we do with him? His English was a second language, so he didn't have a strong command of the English language. And, good-looking guy, very marketable, but, it was hard for that to come through. With the meetings, but once he was in the ring, boy, the HBO fans, they couldn't get enough of him. They were calling HBO saying, when can we see him again? And then I insisted on him fighting at the Garden because of the success we had with the Klitschko fights there at MSG, and I knew that was the right place to build him. And so they actually they combined a Top Rank date with our date, because Top Rank was going to go to Puerto Rico, and I insisted on we need to fight Triple G at MSG, whether it's on HBO or not. And then so they actually put that together where it was Triple G against Gabe Rosado. Triple G was supposed to be the main event, except Top Rank insisted on having Mikey Garcia as the main event, which was a huge mistake because that was one of the HBO said it was the second time in their entire history where the co-feature got higher ratings than the main event. And you saw all the Kazakh fans actually leaving after the Triple G fight. They just weren't. They were all only interested in seeing Triple G fight. So it was a huge debut in New York at MSG. And after that, then we did the Curtis Stevens fight at MSG. A lot of people thought that he'd get exposed. A lot of the East Coast media and fans were thinking, okay, Curtis Stevens is going to expose this guy from Kazakhstan, and Triple G. That was a memorable fight because the expression on Curtis Stevens' face, who was a big puncher himself, and when he got dropped by Triple G, you could see the surprise in his face. So, yeah, it's a great ride with Triple G. It was over 10 years working with him. He was 30 years old. A lot of people didn't realize he was 30 years old by the time I started working with him, and to be completely unknown here in the States. I had a lot of work cut out to me, and the time frame, like Callum Walsh is 23 years old right now. We got time to build him the right way. He's 12-0 and 10 knockouts. Triple G was 30 years old. The clock was ticking. Abel said, look, we need to just put him in the best fights we can. And so that's when I was scrambling to get the biggest names possible. And HBO, actually, after the Rosado fight, HBO was going to do a boxing tournament, middleweight boxing tournament. I know they had Sergio Martinez in there. They had Daniel Geale in there, those two champions. And then there was one other top middleweight in there. And then when they said, okay, Gennady Golovkin's going to be in the tournament, then everyone was arguing, well, who's going to fight him in the first round? And then it just completely fell apart. So when we talk about him being the most avoided middleweight in a long time, it's true because he was a champion. And, HBO was paying career high paydays to these guys, or offering career high paydays. And it just completely fell apart. So then we were just building Triple G organically, just kept fighting. You have a situation like Andre Ward, for example, Super Six. They were all lined up. It was like on a silver platter where Andre wasn't even the favorite to win the fight. But Showtime put it together where he had the opportunity to fight all the champions, all the belts, and it was just like laid out for him right there. If that would have been the case for Triple G, it would have been, so much faster of an acceleration for his career, but he just kept knocking guys out impressively, whether it's Daniel Geale or if you remember Marco Antonio Rubio, we broke the ticket sales record for the War Grounds at StubHub. It was a 7,000 seat stadium and we put 9,000 people in there. We had 2,000 people in bleachers, and Rubio was in full guard, and Triple G still wound up knocking him out. So it was a great ride with Triple G and building him into a global superstar, building a Kazakh fighter into a very popular fighter with the Mexican fans. We brought him down to Mexico City numerous times. We had the support of Mauricio Suleiman and WBC, building him down there with the Mexican fans. Naturally, Abel Sanchez, a Mexican background, trained him in the Mexican style, exciting style. People just wanted to see knockouts. At one point, he had 23 knockouts in a row, if you can believe that, which is really unheard of these days at that level of competition.
Right.
Fighting it.
Tremendous career, and I think the one thing that kind of sticks with me, and it's more of kind of a funny meme. I don't know if you've seen it, Tom, but it's a picture of Triple G wearing casual clothes, looking not imposing, and then they put a picture of like just some bodybuilder looking really ripped, and said, try to explain to a non-boxing fan that the guy, on the left was Triple G, would destroy the guy on the right, because that was Triple G. He wasn't, didn't look intimidating outside the ring, very, very polite, soft-spoken. But once he got inside the ring, it was a different story. So tremendous career.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that he did, which a lot of the U.S. based fighters or champions, a lot of them don't do, is that he was willing to fight everywhere. When HBO didn't have enough dates for us over here in the States, then I brought him over to Monte Carlo, and tremendous experience over there in Monaco, fighting in front of Prince Albert, Princess Charlene. Became family, friends with the royal family over there. Princess Charlene's father, Mike Woodstock, was a great supporter of Triple G, and fighting at the O2 Arena. Remember, he was supposed to fight first. He was supposed to fight Billy Joe Saunders and finally unify that WBO belt. Then he was going to fight Chris Eubank Jr. And then he turned down the fight. And then Kell Brook, I got to give him a lot of credit. He took the same exact contract that Eubank turned down and signed it, and he wound up fighting Triple G at the O2 Arena. We sold out the O2 Arena. Went to Tokyo to the Saitama Arena, sold that out with Murata. That was one of his last fights. So it's a tremendous career, selling out Madison Square Garden, which I believe is the hardest arena in the world to sell out. To selling out, breaking the record at StubHub, the ticket sales record, selling out the Forum a couple of times, selling out T-Mobile 3 times against Canelo. Those are very, not only fighting in one place, selling out one home arena, but selling out like the first fight that he sold out at Madison Square Garden. It was Triple G from Kazakhstan versus David Lemieux from Canada. So 2 non-New Yorkers, non-Puerto Rican, non-Irish, backgrounds that were selling out the Madison Square Garden based on just the popularity. David Lemieux had his own fans. He was a champion. That was the first, got to give him credit, it was the first world champion to actually get in the ring, put his title up against Triple G, and we saw what Triple G did with him. I really think that was Triple G's prime, what he did with David Lemieux against another champion.
Agreed. Now let's talk about 360 Boxing. You founded this back in 2017, and flash forward to 2024, 7 years later, you probably had the biggest year with 360 Boxing. I see on BoxRec credit with being part of 11 events. 8 in California. We had the one in Vegas, New York, and also Dublin. What do you attribute 2024 to be such a successful year? Like what's been the kind of the recipe for you as a promoter?
It was a huge breakout year for us. We had signed the deal with Dana and UFC Fight Pass a couple years ago. Last year was the second year of the deal, and just a tremendous breakout year. Like you said, we went back to Madison Square Garden for the second time for Callum Walsh. That was St. Patrick's Day, 2024. Big response over there for Callum and the Irish community and the boxing fans. Omar Trinidad, had a breakout year. He just won the eliminator fight against Sosa from Argentina. That was over here at the Commerce Casino. Omar's now rated number 2 in the world. We had a huge year with Sergey Boachuk. Sergey came up on our Hollywood Fight Nights platform. He had his third fight with us, and now he's number 2 in the world. Had one of the best years of any boxer last year, fighting Brian Mendoza, fighting Virgil Ortiz, arguably beating Virgil Ortiz, dropping him twice, losing a close majority decision on that one, and then coming back and fighting against Ishmael Davis. So we're really proud of what Omar Trinidad accomplished, what Sergey Boachuk accomplished, what Callum Walsh, now 12-0 with 10 knockouts. Callum Walsh now is going to be fighting the third time at Madison Square Garden on St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, last year was a huge breakout year for us. I'd say the highlight last year was the Dublin show, where we promoted, with the help of UFC Europe and Dana support, we promoted the 3 Arena in Dublin, 5,000 people there, loud and proud Irish fans, happy to see Callum Walsh in his homecoming fight. And I told Dana, I was like, maybe we should wait till he, wins a world title, bring him home like a homecoming champion. But Dana thought it was the right move at that time. And sure enough, with the energy in the crowd and the response that we got in, fighting a tough guy, 22-2, Ronowski from Poland, who had never been stopped before, and then Callum stopping him in the second round. That was the highlight of last year, and we're looking to really build on that now with 2025. It seems like everything is really falling into place. We have 12 shows scheduled for 2025. We already have 3 announced, starting with Omar Trinidad this coming up January 17th. He'll be defending his WBC Continental Americas title. Then we have Chumash Casino, February 21. Kane Sandoval is a great fan favorite. Carlos Balderas, former Olympian. Gory Ritzian, trained by Freddie Roach. We have a really deep roster now of very talented fighters. And then the third show that we've announced just yesterday is Callum Walsh, March 16th. It's a Sunday matinee show the day before St. Patrick's Day in New York City at the theater at Madison Square Garden, the third time Callum's going to fight in New York City. So we're really looking forward to following up on that great event in Dublin, bringing him to New York City for St. Patty's weekend. And that'll be, we got a tremendous response from that fight announcement.
Oh, absolutely. And January 17th is looking just like such a stacked show. We had someone covering your media day at the Fundamentals 19 boxing gym, and just so much talent. One name that's kind of stood out to me was the Japanese fighter, Misuki Hiruta, WBO champion there. Only 6 pro fights, but since she became champion, she found her power getting knockouts. Is she a fighter that you specifically kind of had your eye on and were seeking her out to get on the show, or how did that opportunity come to be?
Manny Robles trains her, and he brought her to us on our radar screen. And I really like Mizuki's look, her charisma, her marketability. She's a WBO world champion, and we're excited to have her on the show. She's going to bring a lot of Japanese media, a lot of attention, a lot of Japanese fans out here in LA, which, LA Japanese sports fans are very enthusiastic now. We have Otani pitching for the Dodgers. So I think Mizuki fits right in. She's on that show. We actually have 3 women's fights on that show, and really excited about that. I've supported women's boxing for a long time. I did 2 fights with Layla Ali when she fought at Madison Square Garden on one of the shows where Vladimir Klitschko was fighting, and then one time in Berlin. Lucia Riker had a very close relationship with her. Also, the First Lady of Boxing, Cecilia Brækhus, supported her and she broke the glass ceilings of HBO. 45-year history, never had a female fight on HBO. And sure enough, on one of the Triple G shows, she was a co-feature when Canelo got suspended, and we had to bring Triple G down here to StubHub at the time. Then Cecilia was on that show, and now having Mizuki on there, having Roxy, she got a huge response. She's only 2-0, but tremendous social media presence, and then a great fight. Might be the fight of the night, which I'm telling people, Gloria Munguia against Brooke Cibrian. That's going to be a great fight. But January 17th is really stacking up to be a great show. Ali Akhmedov is on that show. We got Nico Robledo on that show. So many talented fighters are going to be on that show that it's really turning out to be one of those great Southern California boxing shows, headlined by the King of LA, Omar Trinidad.
Absolutely. And just to kind of go back on your comment, women's boxing, I definitely got to tip my hat there to you, Tom, because you've been, showing women's boxing at a high level on your platform, showing the love back, and just elevating the women's game. I know last year you had Chantel Cameron make her debut on Hollywood Fight Nights, as well as Perlita Basaldua, and consistently can always find a great women's fight on the show. So hats off to you on that. Even the show in Dublin. There's the amateur exhibition between the two female fighters. It was a good showing. So well done.
That was a unique show. Yeah, it was an amateur fight over there, but it was actually Chantel Navarro made her pro debut on our show, and close relationship with her father, Nacho Navarro. I actually managed him when he was a professional fighter. Managed his brother Carlos Navarro. Close relationship with the whole family. Steven Navarro is doing great things right now in the pros, and Jose Navarro, former Olympian. So they have a great history. And then just to touch on the Japanese, on I did the U.S. debut of Inoue when he fought over here, and also of Ioka, Kazuto Ioka over here. So two great Japanese champions. And now this will be the third Japanese champion that we'll have on our show, and really excited for her to be on the show and what she brings to the table.
Absolutely. And thanks for the correction there. It is Chantel Navarro. I was thinking of the other Chantel Cameron from the UK.
Yeah.
And speaking of Omar Trinidad, he has headlined the 17th show. He's rightfully earned the King of LA moniker. He was our 2024 SoCal Fighter of the Year for Mobile No Problem. So he's earned his dues. How special of a fighter is Omar?
Omar's got a great story. I mean, he's just one of those blue collar, hard nosed guys that we kept putting him on the show. He was bringing a lot of fans out. We were matching him very tough, and after about 4 knockouts on our show, I was talking to Mike and Charles, our matchmaker, and saying, we need to sign Omar Trinidad. So we signed him, and he's just, the sky's the limit for Omar Trinidad. He's headlined now. It's been 3 shows at Commerce Casino. This will be his 4th main event, and really excited for what Omar brings to the table and the possibilities. I mean, he's rated number 2 in the IBF right now. He's got the WBC Continental Americas title, so he can challenge. After this fight here, he's in tough with Plania from the Philippines. He's in another tough title defense, but if he comes out successful here, he can really challenge any one of the champions in the featherweight division. So we have really high hopes for him, but Omar's really got a great story from Boyle Heights, and has made the most of his boxing, of the opportunities that we've given him. We can put somebody on the show and put them in the main event, whatever, and then it really depends on how they perform. Same thing like with Kennel Mulch. Sometimes when you have a homecoming and you're in front of all your hometown fans, it puts a lot of pressure on you. You've seen a lot of fighters wilt, under the pressure, because then the promotion's all surrounded around them. But Omar's done tremendous, has gotten tremendous success out of that. Cal Mulch has, and so is Sergey Bochuk. Bochuk's like a road warrior, honestly, just fighting the place. Doesn't care who he fights.
Awesome. And you mentioned him earlier, Kane Sandoval out of Sacramento, another great fighter on your stable, and he's similar to Triple G in the sense that quiet, soft spoken, but when he gets in that ring, he gets the knockouts, and he speaks loud with those knockouts. So I know he's got a high future, high potential there. What kind of put you on the radar with Kane Sandoval, and is there any possibilities for in the future maybe giving him a homecoming show somewhere in Northern California?
Yeah, well, he's going to headline the Chuma show February 21, but he's from the Sacramento area, and totally open to bringing him at the right time, bringing him up to Sacramento. They have a few nice venues up there, and bringing a nice world-class boxing show up to Sacramento for his hometown fans up there. But we're excited about Kane. Kane also is always in an exciting fight. You can't put that guy in a boring fight. he loves to fight, and like you said, he's quiet, but he really puts on a show for the fans. So we're really excited about the future for Kane Sandoval also.
Absolutely. And Kellen Walsh, last year came up on a lot of, prospect of the year list.
Yeah.
One of several of them as well, making a name for himself. Do you think that by the end of 2025, we'll be talking about Kellen Walsh no longer as a prospect, but now as a contender?
Oh, I think he's shed that prospect status right now. He's definitely a contender. He's rated in the top 10, I believe, of 3 of the sanctioning bodies. He's also got the WBC Continental Americas title. Callum's the type of guy who will fight anyone, and trained by Hall of Fame trainer Freddie Roach. Freddie doesn't hold his guys back at all. Freddie, every time we run an opponent by him, Freddie agrees to him. And again, Callum doesn't care who he fights. He's in tough. This time with Dean Sutherland from Scotland, rated high on BoxRec. I believe he's 19-1. Callum's 12-0. A great matchup on paper. This would really be, I think, Callum's highest profile opponent, and fitting for a St. Patty's Day weekend show at Madison Square Garden. So you're going to see some UK fans there. You're going to see a lot of Irish boxing fans there, and that there should be a high energy in that room on March 16th.
Absolutely, man. Just those 3 events as well. Just already got me hyped up for 2025.
Yep. Yeah, we got, like I said, we got 12 shows on the calendar. We've announced 3 already, so we're definitely that's a great thing about what we can do with the fighters that we sign, is keep them active. We have some really talented fighters on the roster. Most of them are fighting 3, 4. Umar Jambekov actually fought 6 times in 1 year, so we're excited about him as well. In light heavyweight division from Austria. So all the fighters we work with are talented. They all have world class pedigree and talent, and it's just a matter of can they become a world champion? I think Sergey Boichuk has proven that he's definitely right there, and excited also about having Mizuki as a world champion on our show. And once we announced the full show for St. Patrick's Day weekend, we got Thomas Carty on the show, a heavyweight from Ireland who is an exciting and marketable heavyweight. We got Fergal McCrory. He brings out a ton of fans out there in the New York area. He just fought for a world title, so he's going to be on that show. We got the rematch of Emmett Brennan and Kevin Cronin. That was really the fight of the night on the Dublin show. So both fighters, that was an 8-round fight. Both fighters agreed to a 10-round rematch, which a lot of times you don't see the fighters both agreeing right away. So excited about that, and a lot of exciting fights on that show. So we're looking forward to coming back east in March as well.
That's awesome. And I'm going to be mindful of time, so I have one more question to not keep you more. Tom, with you being born and raised in Los Angeles, and we know right now you guys are dealing with the fires, horrific fires in Los Angeles area. Can you describe kind of how it's been living through that, and then any message to the first responders in the community of LA?
We've always been big supporters of the fire department, police. When we go to New York, NYPD, the FDNY out here in LA, Santa Monica Police Department. I live in Santa Monica. The smoke is very heavy over here, but luckily there's no fires. But I know a lot of people in Pacific Palisades, and been there a number of times, to Rick Caruso's Palisades Village up there. Luckily that survived, but so many people lost their homes. So our really, you can't even put it in words when you look at how many people lost their homes. I heard today is over 5,000 homes lost up in that area. I mean, some blocks are just completely devastated, like just a bomb went off there. I mean, it's hard to imagine something like that happen in one of the most affluent areas there. So we really feel for that community and the friends that we have up there. And, some people lost their lives during these horrific fires, and like I said, it's really unimaginable. But we're going to have some on the January 17th show. We'll definitely have, that's Muhammad Ali's birthday, that's Alexander Usyk's birthday, Marco Antonio Barrera's birthday. So we're going to have kind of a tribute to Muhammad Ali, but we're also definitely going to have a tribute to the firefighters and the people serving our community during these terrible this terrible firestorm.
And definitely very unfortunate. Surrounding at least the community together, kind of persevere through it. But we'll be sending all our prayers and blessings so you guys make it out of it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Perfect, Tom. Well, Tom, appreciate you taking the time for the interview. I'll let you get back to it. I know you have a busy schedule, but thank you so much for kind of talking some boxing with us today, and we'll definitely have you back on as more shows get announced.
It's good to see you, Jose. I'm happy to come back anytime, and we appreciate all the awards. I saw a lot of the fighters that we work with got the Mo Boxing awards, so
Yes.
We appreciate the support and look forward to future interviews for sure.
Anytime. Keep up the great work, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.